Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I said I wouldn't be really doing these except for England and the World Cup final. But I guess looks like I went back on that promise, as the United States of America have been eliminated from the World Cup, the men's team out of this World Cup after a thorough win by Belgium. Belgium controlled this game from start to finish. Hello, Amy. Hello there, Puma. Nice to see you as well. Adam has joined us, and so many more will be coming in, I'm sure, over the next few minutes. My name is Omar. It is Monday. I almost said Tuesday. It's Monday. Well, it's Tuesday somewhere. I guarantee you that. It's a great pleasure to see you all. Good evening, Omar, says Adam, and good evening to you as well, Adam. Thanks for being here. Great to see you. And Robin P has joined us. Hi, says Puma. Puma, great to see you. How are you? Good evening, Omar, says Robin P. Hello, good evening to you, Robin. Good evening, Amy, as well. Thank you. Ivelis has joined us as well. Ivelis Reyes, good evening to you as well. And all of you coming in, thank you very much for making some time on this Monday night. Look, the bottom line is, folks, that this game, and I don't know if you watched it or not tonight, but the U.S. men's team were taught a lesson tonight by Belgium. It was a step up in class. It was a dominating performance by Belgium. They controlled this game from start to finish, and the USA just didn't play well. And that's just the one thing. You've got to give Belgium a lot of credit. But the other thing about this game is that the rule of ETTD applies. Look, 3 weeks, almost a full month after, in fact, almost exactly a full month after Donald Trump came to Madison Square Garden in game number 3 in New York City and stunk it up for the Knicks. And the Knicks lost their first game in nearly 2 months, thanks to him. Almost a whole month after that, to this very day, Monday, July the 6th, we had Donald Trump messing around and fiddling around and flapping about the day before. In fact, he called on Wednesday of last week to get Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president, to fix this thing up and rescind or at least suspend a red card for Flo Balogun. And you saw what happened tonight. Flo Balogun did not do very much. He had one great chance near the end, but he really didn't do much of anything. And so the rule of ETTD applies again. And so now Donald Trump could be seen, even though you've got to give credit to Belgium, they were streets ahead of the USA tonight. You can see the rule of ETD, ETTD applies. Once again, Donald Trump meddling around. God don't like ugly, and whether you believe in a God or not, I know this: God don't like ugly, and definitely did not like Donald Trump doing what he did, and the FIFA president cowardly chickening out. This ETTD thing is really real, folks. And listen, Rick Wilson wrote a whole book about it. Everything Trump touches dies. That's the name of one of Rick Wilson's books. And he wrote that several years ago. And Rick Wilson was absolutely right. And he continues to be correct. And listen, I said that this was not going to be a good game for the US. There were lots of people in this chat, maybe not in this exact chat, but 24 hours ago, there were people telling me that they were hoping that the US lost because of Trump. And listen, I was very mixed about it. I wanted to see the USA win, but earlier today I was thinking, you know what? I would root for Belgium to win the game because just to spite Donald Trump. But the bottom line is that, listen, Donald Trump, as Robin P. points out, has a special talent for screwing things up. And he certainly did it tonight with his meddling and the ridiculous statements he made earlier today. And look, Balogun didn't have a great game. None of the USA had a great game. They played very nervous from the start. They gave up a goal after just 9 minutes. De Ketelaere scored twice for Belgium in the 9th minute, the 33rd minute. In between that, there had been a free kick from Tillman, who scored, Malik Tillman, who scored last week from a free kick, did it again tonight to level things up at 1-1. But literally 95 seconds later, the USA were trailing again. De Ketelaere scored the second of his 2 goals, and that was the game. 2-1 at halftime. The game was really over. The US never really got into this game at all. They lost the midfield battle. Yuri Tillemans, the captain of Belgium, controlled that midfield like controlling a complete, like he was controlling the weather. I mean, he dominated the midfield for Belgium. And listen, the US did not get any fluidity on their possession. They never looked comfortable in possession. Their defending was very shoddy. They made these uncharacteristic defensive mistakes. Two of the Belgium goals were scored off of USA errors and giveaways. The goalkeeper made a horrendous mistake in the second half for the USA. He was trying to dribble the ball out of his area. He was caught. He didn't know what to do with the ball. He miskicked it. Belgian player takes it off his foot, passes it to another player who's coming in for Belgium, and the Belgian player fires a long-range shot past a hapless defender into the back of the net. That was the game at 3-1. Game over. That was in the 57th minute, 17 minutes into the second half. Game was done. Down 3-1, the USA played like a beaten team. And then for the remainder of the next, 40 odd minutes or so, almost 40 minutes from there on after, the USA was just basically waiting for the game to finish. And then to add insult to further injury, Romelu Lukaku comes in for Belgium, the star striker, comes off the bench, and in the 93rd minute, just puts the nail in the coffin for a fourth Belgium goal of the night. And that was that. Done and dusted. Good night to the United States of America men's team as they crash out of this World Cup in the round of 16 by a final score of 4-1 in Seattle, a rabid crowd, a packed house. And as Robin P says, and I'm going to read what Robin P wrote, because I don't normally use this word, but I'm going to use it. Calm as a bitch. That is what Robin P wrote in the chat here. And I would listen, I can't disagree with Robin P. Robin, I can't disagree with you on that. Um, some people are probably secretly happy about this within the United States. And there's a lot of people who obviously are crestfallen. I'm a bit mixed on this one because it's a shame. I think these US men played with a lot of pressure on their shoulders. You cannot tell me that they did not hear the news of Donald Trump calling the FIFA president. I don't care who you are. I don't care how isolated you are as a footballing team when you try to turn off all the noise around you. You had to know that your teammate was going to be back in the side, Balogun, and you had to know how he got back into the side. And I'm sorry, that is going to play something with your head. It really will. And the other thing for the USA, Christian Pulisic went off injured. He's one of their star players, US men's team. He was off injured. The whole karma, like Robin P talked about, it was there tonight. Hello, Vicky. Great to see you, Vicky, always. Thank you for being here. Great to see you. Look, the bottom line is, folks, this was coming. The USA played a team that was much better than them, a team ranked number 9 in the world, USA ranked number 17 in the world, right? Something like that. But Belgium's ranked number 9 in the world. So this is a golfing class. It was a step up to the top 10 of the world. It's not an easy game to play. Belgium, a very good team. Sometimes they've been underwhelming, Belgium. Belgium had not got into the round of 16 last time they got knocked out in the group stages. This time they wanted to go a lot further than the round of 16, and now they got their wish. Obviously, we've had an additional round of football because they've added more teams. So you had a round of 32, which you don't usually have. So now you're down to the round of 16. And now, because the USA got knocked out, Belgium will go on into the quarterfinals now to face Spain on Friday. That's going to be an astonishing game. Belgium against Spain on Friday. There'll be one more set of games tomorrow to decide which final two teams will be in the quarterfinals. You'll have Argentina against Egypt tomorrow. That's the first game, I think. And then the second game is a really explosive game, Switzerland versus Colombia. That's going to be a massive game. Those are the two games tomorrow to decide who are the final two teams to join everybody else in the final 8 in the quarterfinals. And then on Wednesday, there's no World Cup. And on Thursday, there's no World Cup. But then the World Cup starts over again this coming Friday with the quarterfinals. You'll have 4 games, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. England play on Saturday in one of the quarterfinals. They'll be taking on Norway. In another of the quarterfinals, you'll have, if I'm not mistaken, France versus Morocco. And then Spain will take on Belgium in another quarterfinals. And then we'll find out which two teams will be in the final quarterfinal. That will be determined after tomorrow's two games. So that's how it's going. But I just wanted to say a few things about this and read out some of your comments. Thank you, Yvette, for being here. Raquel, thank you for being here as well. Tanya, hello to you of the 92%. Always a pleasure to see you, Tanya. Darnell Martin has joined us as well. I follow you, but you got me with the ETTD, writes Robin P. Yes, everything Trump touches dies. Robin, I think you know that by now. And listen, it's happened again. And what's Donald Trump going to say? Is anybody going to have a look at his Truth Social page? I mean, I'm sorry, Lies Social? Is anybody going to go look on his page to see what he's saying now that the USA's men's team has been knocked out? Is anyone going to go over there? Or are we going to be hearing about it from somewhere before we even dare to go and look on his Lies Social page? Because I'm sure now what he will do is start to blame, I guess, what, the referee, or he'll turn on FIFA all of a sudden. He'll blame the U.S. men's team, or will he blame Flo Balogun, the guy that he was lobbying for, the black man that he so desperately wanted to get onto the field to kick a football that he never should have kicked, and then he got pulled off the pitch in what, the 80 some odd minute. And listen, I think he played like he didn't really feel that he deserved to play. It's so interesting. If you look at this game tonight, Flo Balogun, the guy that should not have played tonight, was on that pitch at times playing as if he felt guilty to be playing. And I think Donald Trump has some blame here for all of this. I think he really does. But you've got to give maximum credit to Belgium. Belgium are a cut above the rest. I could easily see Belgium getting in to the semifinals of this tournament. It wouldn't shock me if they did. But Spain obviously have been going very, very well lately. They won today against Portugal to get to that round of 8 where they will face Belgium. So would it shock me if Belgium were to knock out Spain? It wouldn't. But it's going to be a tall order either way. We'll see what happens in that game. But tonight, Belgium were too good for the US of A. Belgium beat the US of A, I think, in a qualifier or in a cup game or in some kind of friendly tournament a few months ago, back in March. Beat them 5-1, Belgium did, or 5-2, whatever it was. Belgium have now beaten them 4-1. So Belgium own them. Belgium have played very good football against the US of A. The men's team tonight just came up well short. They didn't play well. They looked nervous. First half looked tentative. They didn't communicate well on the pitch. They didn't look together on the pitch. They looked very disjointed. They looked a bit naive, silly mistakes, giving the ball away in your own half. They did it for 3 of the 4 goals. They did not look confident. They didn't look fluid. They didn't have enough time for possession of the ball, and they couldn't move the ball down the field. And every time they tried, Belgium had an answer for them. Belgium was very composed in the defense. They looked very comfortable. They looked very confident. They had good spacing. I think the US played very narrow in the first half. Second half, they played a bit more expansively. They tried to move the ball a bit quicker, but Belgium adjusted very well. Belgium didn't even put 2 of their best players on the pitch. At least they didn't put their best player on the pitch, excuse me. Their very best player didn't even play the game. Kevin De Bruyne didn't even get on the pitch tonight. He's their best player. Now, he may have been coming back from injury or coming back from whatever it was, um, but Kevin De Bruyne did not even make it on the pitch tonight, and Belgium still walked away really easily here. It was a walk in the park for Belgium tonight. Honestly, it was that simple. The US of A didn't look good, didn't look confident. They looked a bit naive. They looked as if the whole occasion got to them, and they didn't have the experience, I think, to deal with this Belgium side. They do have 1 or 2 veterans on the USA men's team, but they just went up to it tonight. Christian Pulisic, one of their 2 best players, along with Flo Balogun. Pulisic didn't do anything in this game, and as I said, he walked off injured in the game, screaming to be subbed off because he got hurt, his leg or something like that happened, and he had his head in his hands, the jersey over his face, so he's probably seriously injured. Belgium had a player seriously injured as well. Onana was seen coming off the pitch, and then he was seen coming back onto the pitch on crutches with a knee brace on, long brace on his leg. So obviously he was seriously injured too, very much so. So look, injuries are part of the game, but the US of A never troubled Belgium. Let me read out your comments. Way too much pressure, writes Vicky. Trump put way too much pressure on them, making that damn phone call. I totally agree, Vicky. Donald Trump has to take some blame here. Again, you give credit to Belgium, maximum credit to Belgium, but Donald Trump definitely played a role in the way this game played out. All that we heard from last Wednesday onwards, especially yesterday onwards, that Donald Trump was there, trying to make himself the center of attention again as the malignant narcissist that he is, making the phone call. Oh, today. Oh, I didn't want him to overturn it. I just asked him to look at it. Well, fuck. If you're calling the president of FIFA, you're not calling him just because you want him to look at it. You want him to look at it and do something. I mean, you could have just told him that on your live social platform. Can you look at this, please, Mr. Infantino, Mr. Suckup? Can you look up? Can you look up Mr. Suckup and just give a look to this red card from last week? You could have put that on his True Social platform, like he always does. Lies social. So look, Donald Trump had a lot to do with this. Again, too much pressure on them. I agree, Vicky. Thoroughly too much pressure. And if anybody thinks that these young lads today did not know about Trump inserting himself into this whole mess, you would be absolutely fooling yourself, because everybody knows that Donald Trump made himself the center of attention, whether it was today at that stupid press conference, whether he was talking nonsense, whether it was yesterday or last week. And these young lads of the USA team surely heard about it. And I'm telling you, I think it affected the way they played. Um, they did not look very together out there tonight. And they looked as if they were playing not to lose the game. Will Trump protest the win and call cheating just because he can? Well, it wouldn't shock me if that happened, Vicky. Um, but the problem, though, this time, Vicky, is Donald Trump will not have anybody to protest to, because FIFA. I don't care what Donald Trump does with his big time buddy there, the FIFA president Gianni Infantino. Gianni Infantino and FIFA are not going to say anything about this result. They've already stiffed Belgium once by having Balogun even be on the pitch. They are not going to stiff them twice on account of Donald Trump. That just will not happen. So Donald Trump can say whatever the hell he wants, but the fact of the matter is that he's got no leg to stand on here. He's already screwed this team over, and he's already caused Belgium a lot of pain. And who's to say now, Belgium, who 24 hours ago was saying that they were looking into all options around responding to this travesty by FIFA and Donald Trump, who's to say that Belgium still doesn't do anything? I guess at this point, Vicky, and everyone else watching, I think Belgium will take this win and go home and move on. For Belgium, they did their job. And I thought that it was impossible tonight for the USA, because I think you knew that Belgium were going to come into this game tonight with a full head of steam. In fact, now knowing that Balogun was going to play and knowing that Donald Trump played a role in that, Belgium were going to always come out fired up in this game. They were. And so Donald Trump actually gave Belgium even more of an impetus to come out on fire, like a house on fire. And they did. They scored after 9 minutes, scored after 33 minutes. 2 minutes before that, the USA scored, as I said, to tie the game at one. But they could not control the tempo of the game, and they could not let the game sit. When the USA equalized in the 31st minute, they couldn't sit the game down and slow it down and then re-establish some control and possession. Less than 95 seconds later, they gave up the lead. They gave up the game again. So it was 1-1. It was 1-0 Belgium, 1-1. And then literally 90 seconds after the US scored, Belgium went ahead again. And that, to me, is where the USA began to lose the game. You have to, when you score a goal there, you've got to calm the game down and see out the next 5 to 10 minutes. Because the rule is, in football, you are never more vulnerable than when you've just scored a goal. And what you have to do is settle the game down. But what the USA did is they switched off defensively. And in like a flash was Belgium. Less than 95 seconds later, they made it 2-1. And that really killed the USA off. Even though it was a 2-1 game, I thought that's where the USA really lost the game. And then when the USA players in the second half, 17 minutes in, conceded a third goal, the game was over. And again, going into that second half, down 2-1, the next goal was going to be critical. Whoever scored the next goal in a game where the US was trailing 2-1, the next goal was going to be the most critical thing. And the next goal went to Belgium. Game went up to 3-1 Belgium, and that was it. Had the US scored that next goal and made it 2-2, would have been a different story. But here we are. So there we go. Belgium were much better than the US of A. Adam wrote this a few minutes ago. I did not realize this. Belgium was considered to be that much better than USA. Thank you for answering that. You're welcome, Adam. There's no question. Belgium are a team. They've never won the World Cup, but they have been sniffing around quarterfinals. They've been in the round of 16. That they really look to make inroads into this World Cup. And I don't think they even have their best team right now. They've got some very talented players, Leandro Trossard. They've got Romelu Lukaku. They've obviously got the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, their best player. They've got people like Yuri Tielemans and many other players as well, including their goalkeeper, who is just world class, who didn't really have but one save to make all night long, and that would be Courtois. Courtois, their goalkeeper, is really one of the world's best. So yeah, Belgium are far and away streets ahead of the USA in terms of class, talent, in terms of their ability, the skill, personnel. A lot of these lads on that team play in the Premier League or they play in the Spanish leagues, La Liga. So Belgium were very, very good tonight, and they did this very, very easily, I think. Bottom line, it was a really, really a comprehensive win. 4-1 might seem a little bit harsh for those who didn't watch the game, but it really was, I think, an accurate reflection of the dominance of Belgium. They controlled the game really from start to finish. The USA looked like a deer in headlights. You could tell which team was the experienced team and which team was not. And it's a well-deserved win for Belgium. I mean, no question about that. Bottom line is that is what happens. Hello, old diva. Nice to see you. Um, this is just really impossible. Really, really impossible. Vicky says, I will not get on his page, meaning Donald Trump's social media account. The thing is, Vicky, I'm not going to be in a hurry to do that either. But you can guarantee that the corporate press in this country will definitely, if there is something that he writes about this game, they will bring it to us instead, Vicky. As you know, we don't have to do a darn thing because, of course, for the last 11 years now, the corporate news media in the United States have bringing everything that Donald Trump says in a post or a tweet or anything else, bringing it directly to us all like we really care. But that is what has been happening the last 11 years, thanks to the US corporate news media. So, Vicky, I think it would be safe to say that you and I will not have to do a thing in terms of looking to see what Donald Trump says about a darn thing, because, of course, the corporate news media will bring it directly to us, even when we've made it clear that we don't want to hear it. So that is the story on that. Now, Adam writes, I have watched more bowling and cornhole on ESPN during COVID than I ever spent on hockey. Vicky writes, he will blame anyone. That is Trump. He will blame the team, anyone but himself. Absolutely, Vicky. That is incoming from Donald Trump, for sure, in the next few hours or in another 2 a.m. Eastern time rant on his lying ass platform. He will definitely be blaming everybody but himself. He'll be blaming Balogun. He'll be blaming the UEFA, FIFA. He'll be blaming the referee tonight, and will start to say things about him. He'll blame Mauricio Pochettino and accuse him of being, someone who rigged the game. I mean, he'll do all kinds of stuff, and he'll start to talk about Pochettino as if he isn't from South America. All these commentators, people like Alexi Lalas, who is a Trump lover, MAGA lover. That's exactly who Alexi Lalas is, the former U.S. men's team player from the 1990s, who is admittedly a Trump supporter. He's come out many times and made that clear. And so he's on the Fox broadcast, the Fox Sports broadcast of the World Cup as one of the analysts, and he was saying, "Oh, Pochettino has to earn his money now. The U.S. men's coach. Oh, he has to earn some money, and he's really assimilated into our culture very well." And I'm thinking, what are you talking about, Alexi? Mauricio Pochettino is literally an American. He's South American. He's an Argentinian, but he's literally from South America. He's not. He doesn't have to assimilate to anything. If anything, you have to assimilate into the culture, Alexi. But Lexi Lawless is an idiot, and I just think is a MAGA idiot on top of that. So look, forget him. I'm not going to waste any more time on him. I'll read out your comments because your comments obviously are far more insightful than anything that Alexi Lawless has to say. So. Robin writes, he will blame everyone else, no accountability for him. Carol has joined us. Hello, Carol. Nice to see you. Maybe the guy did feel guilty. Yeah, you know what? About Balogun, Vicky writes. I think it's true. I think it's very true. I think Balogun may have felt a bit of guilt about this, knowing that he shouldn't have been on the pitch anyway because of the red card. And people will tell us for days that it was not a red card. I happen to disagree. I did a whole episode of my podcast. I haven't even posted the bloody thing yet. But I will tonight, so it's going to seem a little bit anachronistic. But I recorded it earlier today, and I said that, um, that this guy, Donald Trump, put a lot of pressure on these lads, and it's going to be a tough road for them because of what he's done. And I do think that there is some guilt there. I do think that Flo Balogun, who was born in this country to Nigerian parents, but born in the United States, is probably feeling a little bit guilty. Probably. So it's a tough thing. Thank you for the hearts. Keep them going. Keep them coming. Please subscribe as well, by the way, because I do give away things to paid subscribers, so it pays to be a paid subscriber. I do give away all kinds of goodies to paid subscribers: books, movies, music, vinyl records, merchandise. I'll be resuming the giveaways in the next few weeks. I'll be giving away some Knicks merchandise as well. Even if you're not a Knicks fan, you might definitely like some of the things I'll be giving away. Hats, t-shirts, and whatnot. That's all coming up in the next few weeks. And I'll also be giving away some books and some movies as well, including Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. So if you are a paid subscriber, you are definitely going to have a chance to win some prizes once I start the giveaways up again after a few weeks off from the giveaways. I'll do them again in the next few weeks. So if you're not a paid subscriber and you're watching this, please become a paid subscriber because you do get that opportunity to win prizes from yours truly, and you get extras that the free subscriber does not get. So that's something I wanted to say. I'm also working on a story on the New York Knicks and New York and my time there over the last few weeks, which I'm almost finished with, but I've got a lot of things to fill in terms of video and some photos that I took. All the videography and the photos, you'll get to see a lot of that, or at least some of it, because I took a million photos and video. So you'll see that as well, and that will be open to all subscribers. But the paid subscribers, the giveaways are for you and you alone. So I wanted to just say that. My sister and her son are off to Paris tomorrow. Well, I hope they have a safe flight, Vicky. Vicky writes that her sister and her son are off to Paris tomorrow. That is Vicky's sister and Vicky's sister's son, to be clarifying that. Off to Paris tomorrow. Well, again, I hope they have a safe flight, Vicky. Thank you very much for that. How many teams are left in this tournament, writes Adam? Well, there are now officially 10 teams left. Well, let's make it 8. Well, let's say 10 at the moment. The reason why I say 10 is because there's still 2 more teams to play tomorrow. There's actually 8 teams left. Yeah, 10 teams left. No, 6 teams. Put it this way, let me count them out to you. England, Norway, that's 2. Argentina, that's 3. Egypt, 4. Okay. Spain, 5. Belgium, 6. Okay. Switzerland, 7. Colombia, 8. So we got 8 teams right there. And I think I said all of them, didn't I? France, 9. Morocco, 10. There are 10 teams left, Adam. And after tomorrow, it will just be 8, which will be the final 8. So we'll find out. It's probably 12 teams left. 12 teams are left in this tournament, I think. Yeah, 12 are left because there's 2 games tomorrow. You've got Argentina against Egypt, and you've got Switzerland against Colombia. So there's 12 teams left. That will be down to 8. Oh gosh, why am I having trouble with my mathematics? That's why I probably became an attorney instead of being a mathematician. But Adam, I hope I've somewhat answered that for you, even though I'm beginning to doubt my own mathematics here. But put it this way: after tomorrow, Adam, after tomorrow's games, there will be 8 teams left in the tournament. That I can guarantee you. There are currently, I think, there's currently 12 teams left um, in the tournament. Yes, there's 12 teams left right now. It'll be 8 after tomorrow's games, Adam. Thanks for the question about that. They'll be there for 2 weeks. That's Vicky's sister and Vicky's sister's son. Well, I hope they enjoy it there, Vicky, in Paris. Omar writes, Vicky, I believe the USA team had way too much pressure on them. Sigh. Yeah, Vicky, I think that's true. The USA team, the men's team had too much pressure on them. The expectations were going to be raised. You had all the pundits talking their stuff and their nonsense. You had Donald Trump talking his nonsense, making himself the center of everything, of course, like malignant narcissists are wont to do. And then you had the fans, the level of expectation of the fan base, the country's expectation of them. Too much for them to handle. It's a big ask. And the men's team just did not rise to the occasion tonight. Now, the women, when they had their World Cup, um, the women's team have done brilliantly. They've won at least 2 World Cups. So, the women's teams have always risen to the occasion. And look, the bottom line is that when they won this, far less people were interested in watching women play football. The difference now is that in the intervening years, many more people are excited about watching women playing football. And you're seeing bigger crowds. You're seeing the same thing in the WNBA. And so watching women play football is as popular now as watching men play football. So, really, even though you don't have every seat filled at every match where women are playing football, that's changing a lot. You're seeing a lot more people go to these games when women are playing football, as well as when men are playing it. So, there is slightly a gap between viewership, but that gap is closing. Many more people are getting more and more interested in watching women play football, and that's good. That's the way it should be. We should be having lots of people, men, women, anybody, watching women play football as much as we have the same groups of people watching men play football. So, that's the way that is. And it's kind of, I sit here and I think about that Supreme Court decision last week, and they talk about, well, transgendered women and girls can't play female sports. And as I said on my podcast last week, well, what is a female sport? Define it. Define a female sport. Define a male sport. What's a male sport? Define it. See, I mean, so that's an artificial BS distinction that the Supreme Court makes that doesn't make any sense in order for them to get to a ridiculous and insulting decision. Dear leader, writes Robin, involving himself has to be on their minds, even if they are the lesser team. Yeah, Robin, I think it's very true. This is the problem. When you have somebody who is a malignant narcissist like this, um, in putting himself in everything and liking the sound of his own voice and getting all the headlines, sucking the oxygen out of the room, he thinks he's taking pressure, perhaps, maybe off the US men's team, but he's actually putting more pressure on them. When you're out there giving press conferences as he did today, talking about, well, we should have our best players on the field and we should be able to have the best players against their best players. You don't think this gets back to the men's team? You don't think that they have social media? You don't think that they have their phones? You don't think that they watch people or they get phone calls from people and maybe they turn off their phones? Maybe they make it clear that they don't want the noise to come, but they know. They know. And certainly reporters will come up to them and talk about it. You don't think reporters have come up to some of these guys and talked to them? I mean, come on, they know what's going on. So I agree, Robin. I think it's a tall ask. Donald Trump screwed them. ETTD definitely factored in, but you cannot take away the credit from Belgium. They were streets ahead of the US tonight, no question about it. They thoroughly deserved to win. They were thoroughly deserving of the 4-1 victory that they got. Controlled the game, lambasted the US of A. Silly mistakes in at least 2 of the 4 goals. And that was that. I think really 3 of the 4 goals were real mistakes in the defense from the US. So no chance really for the US of A. I think in many ways, as good as Belgium were tonight, the USA beat themselves as well with the silly mistakes that they made and really didn't look confident out there either. They played their worst football of the entire tournament. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes a team will go well, and all of a sudden they play their very worst game in the knockout stages of the tournament. And unfortunately for the US of A, their World Cup is finished. Some people will be very happy to hear that. Others will not be so much. Many others will not be so happy. There'll be people around the world, some of whom will say, well, this is your just reward because that orange guy fucked you over. And this is what happens. And so, really, this is, some people might say this is just desserts. The bottom line is I say ETTD and Belgium. I mean, I think Belgium definitely are, again, as I keep repeating, streets ahead of this USA team. And they played like it tonight. And they've got some world class players. And the US just couldn't meet the moment. They looked overawed. They looked like the occasion got to them tonight. They didn't have any real life in that second half. There was a couple of instances late in the game as the game ticked toward 90 minutes, 9-0, 9-1, 92, 93 minutes. They had a little bit of sign of life, but it was too little too late. They didn't score. And bottom line is that the World Cup is over for the host nation. So the thing here is this, folks. I told you this last night, 24 hours ago on this very Substack Live. I told you that good and bad things come in threes. On Saturday, the co-host nation Canada got knocked out. On Sunday, just yesterday, the co-host nation Mexico got knocked out by England. And tonight, on this Monday, the third co-host nation, the US of A, got knocked out by Belgium. Good and bad things come in threes. And so for 3 consecutive nights now, a host nation has been knocked out of this tournament. And I was saying this last night. I said, would this be the thing that would happen? You never know. And here it is, 24 hours later, all three of these host nations are gone. 3 consecutive days. Canada Saturday, Mexico yesterday, and here on Monday, the US of A. No more host nations are left in this tournament. You've now got, I think, got 2 African nations left, Egypt and Morocco. You've got 3 or 4 European nations left in, if you want to call England a European nation, I guess Western Europe. You've got England, you got France, you got Belgium and Spain. That's 4, right? There may be one other that I'm not thinking of. And then you've got at least one South American team left in Argentina. Of course, Brazil are gone. Norway is the other European nation that I'm forgetting. So there's at least 5 or 6 European nations left. And you've got Argentina, South American team left. You've got Colombia also left in there. They're in the South American region as well. They're in South America too, if my geography is correct. So you've got at least two South American teams left in Colombia and in Argentina. In fact, you've got 6 or 7 European teams because you've got Switzerland still remaining in the tournament. So just giving you a geographical breakdown of the teams left. Of the 12 teams that are still left, at least 6 of them, half of them at least, are from Europe. So, the way this is going, you'll probably have a European country in the World Cup final come Sunday, July the 19th, when that final takes place in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. So we'll see about that. If you've got at least 6 European nations left, and there's going to be 8 spots total. Chances are you may well have, unless you have European nations playing each other before the final, you probably have a European nation in the final. France look very strong still. They're still favored to get to the final and win it. Argentina, who beat France in the last World Cup final back in 2022, are looking very strong. Spain are looking very good. England, who did not play well in a lot of these games, won a very great game last night that I was very happy, as someone from England, very happy that they did. They're beginning to play a little bit better, showing you a bit more cohesion than they did in recent games. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Belgium tonight, who looked very, very good and were, again, last week, where they were 2 minutes from losing and getting knocked out. And now Belgium are in the quarterfinals. Sometimes it's really what it takes, dear viewer, is a team to get hot at the right time. Just like in hockey, Stanley Cup playoffs, sometimes it just takes a hot goaltender to ride your team all the way to the Stanley Cup. Same thing in terms of football in the World Cup. It just takes a hot team, a team that's clicking on all cylinders to ride the wave and just keep going. Same thing in the NBA. We saw the New York Knicks do this. My beloved New York Knicks. New York State of Mind, as I'm wearing the shirt here with the New York Knicks logo on the bottom of it. Um, of course, the great song Billy Joel did the Billy Joel did, of course, that plays at the end of every game at at Madison Square Garden. At the end of every game, they play Billy Joel's New York State of Mind, and so there's T-shirts that are available with that particular mantra on the shirt and the Knicks logo. So I love this shirt. I'll be wearing another one of these in the next few days as well to promote that, because that's one of my favorite Billy Joel songs, New York State of Mind. Obviously, as someone who lived in New York for many years, I love the song for that reason too. But the bottom line is that you have a lot of good teams left in this World Cup. And even if you're not a watcher of the World Cup, I think you should become one of this men's World Cup, because nobody calls it the men's World Cup, do they? They call it the women's World Cup when women play football. But when the men are playing football, they just call it the World Cup. We all know what that's about. But the Men's World Cup, please watch it. If you're not watching it, if you're not a sports fan, become a sports fan for just the next 2 weeks and watch this thing. It provides just tremendous drama. I've scoured online. I saw this wonderful story that FIFA put up, ironically, about this couple who met each other 40 years ago. A white English man and a Latina, maybe white Latina, who is Argentine or Argentinian, I guess you say Argentinian. I think she is from Argent or from Spain. She was from Spain, and they met. They were opposing. They were fans wearing opposing team gear for their nations, and they started to have a conversation. They met by accident. They were sitting in the wrong seats. They had great chemistry, they found, and all of a sudden they started to spend time together. They exchanged phone numbers. They did long distance dating, phone calling, letter writing. This is in the 1980s, ahead of the internet, ahead of social media, before they even came along. And lo and behold, within 3 or 4 years, they decided to get married. They married each other. I mean, that's what football brings, right? That's what a random sporting event or anything, it doesn't have to be sports, but in this case, random event, they were accidentally sitting together. They were in the wrong seats. And all of a sudden, now they're married and have been married for 40 years. Isn't that incredible? That's a great love story, isn't it? So the bottom line is, the reason I mention that is because all kinds of things, sports can be great unifiers and sports can be great dividers. And look, we've seen this in the 1930s with the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin, where Jesse Owens, the black man, the brother, for the USA, won 4 gold medals. And guess who was watching? Hitler was. 1936. So we've seen sports be a divider too, because of the kinds of people who do the dividing. The people who are racist, the people who are sexist, the people in this case who are racist and who are anti Semitic like Hitler, and who are genocidal like Hitler. So, we've seen those kinds of things happen in sports. We've seen politics affect sports. We've seen moments in sports that cry out for activism. 1968 Summer Olympic Games in Mexico City, no less. Tommy Smith and John Carlos, right? The Black Fist salute on the podium. So these things play a role, folks. Activism in sports is not new. I recommend a book to you called The Revolt of the Black Athlete by Dr. Harry Edwards. Great book. We've seen this throughout sports history. Jackie Robinson, breaking through the racism of Major League Baseball. Remember that back in 1947, after Truman had desegregated the military, and after Branch Rickey, the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, decided to bring the first black player in to Major League Baseball to join the Brooklyn Dodgers. So all these things in sports have always been there, but we've not often seen people who are leaders of countries calling in favors or calling in to FIFA to get them to overturn or suspend red cards. Now, there's only one other instance where this happened. And that's back in 1962 when the Brazilian prime minister contacted FIFA because he was outraged that his star striker was sent off for a red card offense in the semi-final of the 1962 World Cup. And so he begged, he begged, he begged, he lobbied, he begged the FIFA president at that time, 64 years ago, to do a favor to the Brazilian national team and allow the suspended player who was not supposed to play in the World Cup final because the Brazil team won the semifinal that he was red carded in. The Brazilian prime minister persuaded, after days and days of lobbying FIFA and the FIFA president, persuaded him to overturn the red card decision or at least suspend it and allow that player who got sent off in the World Cup semifinal that Brazil would win to play in the World Cup final. So, really controversial. It's not the first time this has happened, but it's only the second time it's ever happened. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo got his red card suspended during the World Cup qualifiers. Big difference. Those were the games to qualify for the World Cup. Ronaldo would have missed 2 games in the World Cup proper this year if that ban had not been suspended. But it was. Ronaldo had dinner with the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, back last November. Donald Trump was at that dinner too. It was actually at the White House. And between the three of them, or between the two of them, Ronaldo and Infantino, the ban was lifted. The ban was suspended on Ronaldo, and he got to play the first two World Cup games for Portugal. As it happens, what happened to Ronaldo today and Portugal? They got knocked out of the World Cup tournament today by Spain. So again, karma, as Robin P. wrote earlier, is a you know what. So that's a brief history of some of this stuff. Donald Trump again putting his nose and mouth where it does not belong, and the USA suffering as a result yet again. The men's national team out tonight, 4-1, crashing out of this tournament. God knows what they're thinking. I wonder what each of these lads is thinking now about Donald Trump. Not that they have to think about him, but wondering about how that move affected them. And I wonder if any of these reporters, sports reporters or otherwise, are going to ask any of these USA men's players whether or not that was on their minds, what they think about it now that they're out of the tournament. What are they going to do about that? I really, 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 really want to know what they're going to say, if anything, about that. And if these reporters are going to even ask the question, because these reporters now, good God, they don't ask a question about anything unless it's about Taylor Swift's wedding or something like that. That's probably what they're more likely to ask a question about. Hey, what do you think about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift getting married? I mean, they're more apt to ask a question like that than they are ask a question about Donald Trump. But anyway, you know how that goes. We all know how that goes with the corporate news media and the press in this country. They've absolutely rolled over for orange nonsense, and they are sucking from the trough of it. So there we go. Let me read out some more of your comments, and I'll say goodnight to you as it approaches 11 p.m. Eastern time here tonight. Dave writes, all right, Omar, in a way, Belgium beat Trump. Probably extra motivated to beat him. I think that's a good point there, Dave from California. And thank you for making it. I think it's very true. I think it's very true. Belgium beat Trump in a way. Yeah, I think that's very true. I don't think there's anything wrong with that comment. I completely agree. As I said earlier, maybe before you made that comment, David, or perhaps a bit, because I know I'm only just getting to your comment now, Dave, I was saying earlier on that I think that this whole mess around Balogun and Trump and the corrupt FIFA president and the corrupt guy in the White House who got, by the way, as I said yesterday in this live, a FIFA Peace Prize from the same guy that he lobbied to get the red card suspended. I mean, 7 months ago, he got a FIFA Peace Prize, for God's sakes. Never before given out. This is completely made up to appease the fragile ego and the malignant narcissism of Donald Trump. And so, yeah, I think that Belgium a fire was lit under Belgium tonight. And I think Rudy Garcia, who is the head coach of Belgium, who yesterday publicly made a statement saying he didn't know that July 5th was April Fool's Day for FIFA, definitely, I think, motivated those players and really lit a fire under them. And I think really Trump motivated the Belgium team. I mean, Trump helped the Belgians tonight with this nonsense. So, but I do agree, David. Excuse me, Dave. In a way, I think it's very true that Belgium beat Donald Trump. Certainly. And Trump helped, and Trump assist. Trump even assisted on it too, because ETTD. So I definitely agree that I won't. I will not believe anyone, Dave, and everyone else watching, who sits there and says that Belgium did not get extra motivation out of this game. They absolutely did. And they got the extra motivation because of this orange menace who decided to meddle and uh, put his fingers and his nose and his mouth and his disgustingness where it didn't belong. And I think Belgium definitely used that for motivation. Not like they needed any bulletin board material. But the fact of the matter is that I think that did play a role, Dave. I think I agree with you 100%. We know Trump will never take any blame. Yeah, Vicky, I agree. He will not. He never does. Malignant narcissists never take blame for what they do. They always externalize to somebody else, and so that's the hallmark of a malignant narcissist. As you know, Vicky, they never ever look inward. They never do any interiority. They have no interiority at all. They do not look inward. They do not look introspectively at all. They always externalize everything and project everything about themselves onto others and blame other people, as you know. So I agree. I think this is a really, really telling moment. And again, Donald Trump is weak, and all this reveals, apart from Belgium whipping the pants off of these young lads tonight, is that Donald Trump is a weakling. He's weak. He does not have any power. I mean, he has a power to be a pain in the neck, but he's a weak man. He's totally weak, and we've seen it here. Robin P. He interferes in absolutely everything except the condition of this country. Yeah, that I agree with. Again, Robin P. on the mark again. That's what he does best. Robin, interfere with everything except the country and the condition of it to make it better, to improve it. And the interesting thing about this so-called "Make America Great Again," which Donald Trump did not start first. Remember, there were people like Ronald Reagan who said this many, many moons before him, and there were people in the so-called America First movement, a white-only movement, starting in the early 1920s in this country, who also were saying things like "Make America Great Again." Notice that they never say, and Donald Trump by extension, and Bill Clinton's even said "Make America Great Again" for God's sakes at times. But notice none of these people ever says "Make America Better." Because you might make America great, but what does that mean? What does make America great mean? Are you saying it's not a great country? Are you saying that it's only great for certain people? Are you saying that, and then you say again, which shows you really don't care about the country. And what you're saying is you want to go backwards. And what you're also saying is that you don't want to make the country better. You want to make it great again for a small group of white people or for white people, period. So nobody has said make America better. Interesting. I just leave that out there. Such crap by Trump, writes Vicky. I agree. Um, there's no question about it. God don't like ugly, writes Carol. Carol, I said this earlier before you made the comment, maybe before you came into the room. I said this too. God don't like ugly. I've been saying that all day long. And I'm telling you, as Robin wrote, karma is a you know what. And although Robin didn't write you know what, Carol wrote the word beginning with B and ending in H. Um, but we all know this, folks. We all know that this was going to be I thought this would be an impossible game for the U.S. to win, and I think the US, ironically, would have had a better chance winning this game had Balogun not played and had Trump not interfered and had the FIFA president, who absolutely is a coward, did not capitulate. Had he not capitulated, I think the USA would have had a better chance to win tonight because they would have been more focused. I think they would have been more focused. I'm not saying they would have won, but they would have been more focused. They would be clear about, okay, we don't have our best player going in this game. We're going to have to fight another way. But it didn't happen that way. And they didn't fight at all, really, in this game. So I cannot even listen to him anymore, writes Robin, about Donald Trump. Maybe he won't get another Peace Prize this year. Yeah, I don't think that's coming for him in 2026. I think this guy is just. Robin writes, I turn off anyone who plays clips of him. Well, in my podcast episode that I'm going to release a bit later on tonight, I do play clips of him. So, Robin, you can turn you can turn off my podcast or not even bother listening to it at all because I do play a clip of Donald Trump talking about the red card situation. But anyway, I just want to put that out there. Um, I think it's wise, writes Vicky, for Belgium to keep winning. Belgium knew their assignment. Yeah, they did, and they did the assignment, Vicky. Absolutely. As I said earlier, and as I think one or two others have alluded to, Belgium were hell bent for leather tonight, Vicky. They had the passion, they had the spirit, they had the cohesiveness. They defended well as a team. Their shape defensively was very good. Going forward, they looked very comfortable. In defense, they looked comfortable. They looked comfortable in possession of the ball and out of possession of the ball. They moved the ball really pedestrian like, but they also moved it very quickly when they needed to. Their angles were correct defensively. The way they used the pitch, I thought, was very effective. They were able to plug the holes in midfield. I thought the midfield performance by Belgium was outstanding. Yuri Tillemans, the captain and midfielder, marshaled that midfield so well. It made the transition play for Belgium so much easier. They moved the ball much more comfortably. When you saw Belgium on the ball tonight, if you watched this game, look at how comfortable Belgium looked when they had possession of the football. They looked really comfortable. Whenever the US had possession of the football, they looked hesitant, they looked anxious, they looked indecisive, they looked nervy, and they looked unsettled. And those adjectives, those words I used, I think would accurately describe and depict the body language and the feel tonight of the men's USA team up there in Seattle, Washington, where they played and did not look very comfortable. They just didn't look comfortable all night long. So there we go on that. Omar, you really know this game, writes Vicky. Yes, I do. Thank you, Vicky. Yes, I do. I've seen a lot of this football in my lifetime. I've played football in my lifetime. I used to be on a team in my lifetime. And yes, thank you for that, Vicky. Yeah, and I do like to talk sports a lot. I usually don't do it on Substack. I usually do it elsewhere. But if you like this, then fine. I'll keep talking about sports. I'll try not to do too much sports because I know some people do get turned off by it. And I recognize that everybody in this audience that is currently watching is not necessarily a sports fan. But I can tell you, I do know my stuff when it comes to sports as well. And not just the game of football or the game of basketball. I'm talking about many other sports as well. So, I will occasionally do some of these sports spots, if you will. I do them on my podcast. I did a bit of it. I did a lot of it today on the Politicrat, which again, I'll release it belatedly from today a bit later on. I do promise you that. But thank you, Vicky, for that. I always appreciate that. Brittany, hello to you. Omar, it is obvious some of us know very little about soccer. I understand that, Vicky. Look, we all don't. None of us knows everything. Um, you don't. I don't. Nobody in here knows everything. And if we did, we wouldn't be here. Put it that way. We'd be doing something else. And so I certainly don't want to make it like I know everything because I certainly do not. I've got lots to learn. Everybody has lots to learn. I have lots to learn. And, look, I understand that. I accept that many people in the audience watching, Vicky, aren't necessarily attuned to football, as most of the rest of the world calls it. The USA calls it soccer. But bottom line is that that's my read of the game tonight. I thought the referee did a good job. I know the fans were booing, but look, when you watch this on TV, it's different from when you watch it in the stadium. And sometimes you don't get the replays on the big board in the stadium that you get at home. And I'm sitting there watching it at home and I'm going, why are these fans booing? Apart from the fact that, yes, they like the US and they don't like the decisions that are being given against them. But when you look at the replays, the referee got it all correct. The referee was pretty much spot on for the vast majority of this game. And look, the bottom line is that you need a referee to get these calls correct, and it's a difficult job. But he got most of the stuff right. About 95% of the stuff that he called was correct, in my judgment, as a neutral. As an England fan, as someone from England, born and raised and grew up there, I think this referee got the job done well. I think the referee last night in the England-Mexico game got the job done very well. I thought he was very good. Now, even if England had lost the game last night, I would have said the same thing. I'm capable of being even-handed and really, telling it like it is, no matter how it looks and how it is. So there we go. Um, Vicky, take care of yourself and be well. Thank you very much indeed. Um, old Diva says, hello back to you. Thank you, old Diva. Didn't know we lost, deservedly so. Yep, the USA did lose tonight, 4-1, and I agree, old Diva, and it's great to see you as ever. Thank you for being here, old Diva. Lovely to see you as ever. And old Diva, the USA deserved to lose the game. I think if anybody, whether you watch football or sports or anything, you might see some highlights on the local news or the late night news or whatever it is you watch, or you see some stuff on social media or online in general. Bottom line is you watch the whole game as I did tonight. The USA deserved to lose. Belgium were far better than they. Belgium are a class above, a step above. Ranked number 9 in the world by FIFA. The US is ranked number 17 in the world. Golfing class, better players, better head coach. Well, the head coach is pretty good for both teams, but the player and personnel and the pedigree of Belgium is so much better than it is the USA. So the Belgians have got at least 5-star players on their team. The USA have 2, right? And one of the Belgium star players didn't even play the game. Didn't even get into the game. And he's the best player that they have. Kevin De Bruyne didn't even get into the game. Didn't even play. So Belgium could afford to leave their best player on the bench and still win this game 4-1 tonight over the USA. So I think, old Diva, I think I've pretty much responded to that. And it was a deserved loss. I agree with you, old Diva. Thank you for your comment. Just a couple more minutes. I'll be reading out these comments and I'll move to end this particular broadcast. Robin says, that's why I stay here with independent journalists. Yeah, Robin, yeah, the corporate news media, and I alluded to this earlier, corporate news media is awful in this country. And independent journalism is the way to go. You know who to follow and who to subscribe to. Don Lemon, Joy Reid, and others et al., who do a very good job bringing you independent to journalism and do a darn good job of it. So there we go. My friends from England and Germany and Ireland were so upset about this whole debacle, writes Brittany. Hello, Brittany. Hope you're well. What a disgrace. Yeah, Brittany is writing to us today about the Trump situation that we talked about here, that I've been ruminating with you on over the last little while. And Brittany's comment, listen, this is one thing I point out in tonight's episode of the Politicrat, which I will put up a bit later on. I recorded it hours and hours ago, so it's going to feel a little bit anachronistic. But one of the things I point out in the episode for everyone watching and Brittany, as well as you've pointed out, is that people around the world are pissed about this thing with Trump and FIFA and Balogun. They're pissed. I play you, I play you in the episode, not to give away the episode, but in the episode, I play you all these pieces of audio, quite lengthy, where you really hear what people in other countries are saying about Donald Trump and what he did, and FIFA and Balogun getting the benefit of a very corrupt decision and a very corrupt act. And people are pissed. And it's so true. Brittany's comment is a really accurate reflection of the rest of the world is furious about what's happened. England, Germany, and Ireland so upset because what this does, Brittany, as you know and as your friends there know, in England, Germany, and Ireland, this absolutely corrupts the whole game now. The World Cup going forward gets corrupted because people are going to say, well, is Donald Trump or is some other leader going to call up Gianni Infantino and ask him to overturn a red card or to suspend a red card. I mean, nothing's safe now. So you've got to listen to my podcast episode later tonight when it comes out on the Politicrat, where I talk about all this and a whole lot more. And a lot of people are upset. And here in the United States, we are very sheltered generally from the certain diets of media, and we need to be more proactive at seeking those out, whether it's independent journalism like Roland Martin and all the other people I've mentioned, or whether it's going to international media. I mean, I looked at stuff on Germany DW News and some of the stuff on there. People are furious with this. And I don't know that the average person in the United States of America realizes that. I don't think they do. The average American, the average person in the US of A, has absolutely no idea how pissed people around the world are around what happened with Balogun and Donald Trump doing this and FIFA doing. They're furious, furious. And some of the clips that I play on my episode that I'm going to post later tonight, you will really hear how it is. If you go watch the stuff here in the US, though, you hear everybody sane washing it, and oh, people aren't mad at the US. People aren't mad at the US. They're mad at FIFA, but no bullshit. Thierry Henry, who is from France and who is a world class legend footballer who now does some great work on Fox with the analysis of the World Cup. He is terrific. But he said something tonight that I thoroughly disagree with. People are mad at the US, rightly or wrongly. They may not be mad at the players personally, but they are mad at the US because of what the US is doing around the world and has been doing around the world forever. And this is just yet a microcosm of all of that. And so Thierry Henry, who I think is a very bright chap to begin with, said something tonight that I just totally disagree with. There are people upset at the US, rightly or wrongly, as I say. So anyway, there's that. Thank you, Brittany, for the comment. Let's read out some more comments. And again, I know some of these were from a little while ago. Old Diva's laughing at my lying ass platform comment because that's exactly what it is. Lies social. Hello, Stacy from California here in the Golden State. Good evening, Omar. Right, Stacy. Good evening, Stacy. Great to see you on this Monday night. Thank you very much for being here, making precious time out of this. And to all of you who've made precious time, I really appreciate it. I thank you for trusting me. I thank you for trusting me with your time. Trust is a very important variable, and time, as I've talked about recently quite a bit, is a very important variable too. So that you would be entrusting me with your valuable and precious time means a lot to me. It means more than I can even express. So I do thank you very much for entrusting me with your valuable time. You could be doing something much better than watching yours truly. Come on now. But thank you for making this your choice. And thank you for those of you who are subscribers, whether you're paid subscribers or free subscribers. But if you're not a subscriber yet, please become one now. Please become a paid subscriber because I gave you very good reasons why you should. Because I'm giving away a lot of different things over the next few weeks. I'm going to resume the giveaways again in the next few weeks. And I'm giving away a lot of stuff, as I always do. So please become a paid subscriber because paid subscribers are who get the benefit of these giveaways. I give these things away, vinyl records, movies, CDs, T-shirts, other merchandise, hats, books, lots of books I give away. I'm giving away more of those, movies, etc., as I've said, to paid subscribers. And it's worth a year's subscription easily because you get your money's worth. You really, really do. Some people can really attest to that. And I've had people tell me that they really appreciate it and they've been very thankful. And I like that. I like that. I'm someone who likes to make sure that people have a smile on their face as best I can. I give you the truth here. I'm blunt with you. I'm honest with you. And listen, I tell it how it is. I tell it like it is. Some people like it, some people don't. And thank you for your time. Your time is really precious to me. So thank you for utilizing this pressure, this precious, I should say, time that you have tonight with yours truly. Too much pressure, Robin writes, regarding the USA men's team. I think that's very true. We've talked about it here. I know these comments were from a few minutes ago. I'm going to try to read through as many of them as I can and stay up to date before closing things out in the next few minutes. It is our patriotic duty, writes Brittany, to dissent. I don't care anymore. You, as a famous athlete, have a platform, use it. Yeah, Brittany, that's one of my complaints. There are a lot of athletes, and it's not just athletes, there's a lot of other people too, who have these platforms, very prominent, very visible, and a lot of these people do not use their platform in the right way or don't use it at all. Don't use it for positive things. They use it for bullshit. And I agree. You know, Brittany, there's been a long history, and I'm sure you know this, of athletes, and I documented a bit of it earlier, a long history of athletes using the platform to dissent. American athletes, athletes from other countries, but particularly in the United States. Talked about Jesse, I keep saying Jesse Jackson. Jackie Robinson, who, he used his platform, and he is a Republican, Jackie Robinson. Used his platform to do what he needed to do to affect awareness and consciousness. Look at, again, I talked about Tommy Smith and John Carlos in the 1968 Summer Olympic Games in Mexico City, October of 1968, the Black Power salute, while they were on the podium with their medals. And they paid a price for that. They never got to compete again in any sports. Colin Kaepernick, kneeling quietly during the national anthem. And for that, he never got to play another down in the NFL again, to protest police brutality and to stand up for families whose loved ones have been lost to police violence and advocating for justice. Where's the violence in doing that? It is dissent, as Brittany points out. It's a First Amendment right. In fact, it's not only a non-violent right, it's actually Colin Kaepernick quietly doing it. I mean, he didn't make any loud noise. He didn't even hold up a picket sign. He just sat there and kneeled, got down on one knee and kneeled during the national anthem. And now all of a sudden, that gets you suspended entirely from the NFL and you never play again in the NFL. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And then when George Floyd gets murdered by the police, all of a sudden the NFL acts as if it's now the second coming of what, John Brown or something? I mean, come on now. These white billionaires and this white billionaire owner of the NFL president, or whatever the bloody hell his name is, Roger Goodell, and now behaving as if he's the second coming of John Brown all of a sudden. Come on now. I agree, Brittany. People have to use the platform. All of us do, quite frankly. You, me, all of us. But I know what you're saying. Athletes in these positions have to be prepared to risk something. We all do, quite frankly. But I agree, Brittany. Thank you. Um, and we get to see more of you. Robin P. writes, I assume, Robin, you are talking about yours truly. And I do like compliments, by the way. So if you are talking about me, great. Without becoming narcissistic as Donald Trump or as vain as him. Thank you for that comment, Robin. I really, really appreciate that. I am unabashedly someone who does like compliments. I'm not. I, I'm not somebody who is bashful about that. I think we should celebrate ourselves to a degree and enjoy ourselves and have fun, put a smile on our face. We all will go through ups and downs and tough times, but we've got to stay resilient, stay determined, stay focused, and seek out support networks that can help lift you up as well. Because nobody does this all by themselves. But thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. It's great to have you here. And it's great to talk to you. It's great to have a community here where we talk and interact. And it's not just me. I mean, obviously, I'm the only one whose voice you can hear at the moment. But that we talk to each other, that I read out your comments. That's very, very important. Because as I've said before, there are many people who do Substacks and they don't read the comments out, or they hardly ever read the comments out, or they barely acknowledge their Substack audiences. And I think that's a real mistake, right? You have to, I don't care what platform you're on. If it's a platform where people can interact with you, you had better connect with them. You had better connect with the people who are watching you. Do not take your audience for granted. Do not. Okay? You have to interact and you have to read out comments and you have to acknowledge people and do so because you really want to do that. but also do it because it's also necessary to do. I do it because I love to do it, but I also do it because I recognize that we're here together, virtually or other, we're here together. And I think it's important to connect. I think it's important to keep that going, especially in this cold ass, cruel world that we live in. And so it's really important. It really is. Adam writes, and Lou54, hello to you. Adam writes, thank you for that. Why did it take me into my 40s to find a new sport to watch? I've already made up my mind about hockey. No chance, but soccer is in play for me. Ha ha ha, writes Adam. Thank you very much indeed, Adam, for the comment. I know you made this comment a little while ago. Amy, hello to you. I think you were right with 10 teams left. Then 2 will be eliminated tomorrow, leaving 8. Yeah, I know I got my math a bit screwed up there, Amy. I think I said 12, then I said 10, there's a 12 again. But Amy, thank you for that. I try my best not to confuse myself as much as I try not to also confuse you. But Amy, thank you. I think it is 10, but bottom line, something like that. Because again, I think it's 12 actually. No, I think it is 10. I think it's actually 10. Because as Amy, as you rightly point out, there's going to be one of those two teams that gets knocked down to 9, and then one of the other two teams that gets knocked down to 8. Um, but there we go. I think it's 10. I don't know. I get this feeling it's 12. But why do I say that? I don't know. I really don't. But all I know is, Amy, as I was saying to Adam earlier, that after tomorrow it will be 8. That's all we need to know. It's probably, I think it's 12 teams left, actually, Amy. Because there's 2 games tomorrow, which means that's 4 teams, right? 2 more games tomorrow in the final 2 games in the round of 16. Again, as I said earlier, Argentina against Egypt is the first game of the day, which I think takes place at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And then game number 2 is later on in the day. That will be the real firecracker, Switzerland against Colombia. That will be a fantastic game. That's the game. Those are 4 teams, 2 of which will go on to join the 6 teams already in the final 8. So there's really 6 plus 4 is 10. So I think you're actually right, Amy. There are 10 teams left. Oh my God, I am absolutely all over the place tonight. But Amy, thank you for that. Terry Ann, I think dear leader jinxed the team. Terry Ann, I agree with you. I think the dear leader, or the dear orange leader, I think he did jinx the team. I think he screwed up the whole thing, Terry Ann. Before you made that comment, I was talking about this a little while back, and I know you wrote this a few minutes ago now, but he totally screwed up here. And as I said earlier, it was an ETTD moment. Everything Trump touches dies. And yeah, I think that's what happened here. Terry Ann, I agree. Robin writes, it's time for bed early morning tomorrow. Thank you, Robin writes, for the great conversation. Have a great night, everyone. Robin P, have a great night. Enjoy your sleep. Have a good night's sleep as well. I know, see, I'm on the West Coast here, so I kind of am acting as if nobody has to go to bed for 3 more hours. But obviously, it is 11:30 now on the East Coast. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to just try to read out as many more of these as I can. Adam writes, a malignant narcissist ruined things, period. I had a relative that was one who would turn anything I was involved in into their achievement and over-involve themselves to the point, Adam writes, of embarrassing me and angering everyone around me. Yeah. Adam, I'm sorry that that happened, that you've experienced that in your life. It's a horrible thing. Malignant narcissists are very toxic people, and I agree with you. They do ruin things, and they do centralize themselves in everything that you do or someone else does, and act as if it's their own achievement. We've seen this in Donald Trump and so many other people, and you, and of course, in your family, your relatives, who, one or two of them who've done the very same thing. So they're probably at home with Donald Trump. Maybe they voted for him even. But maybe they didn't. Maybe they voted for Harris too. You got malignant narcissists who can be Democrats as well. I'm not going to get into Graham Plattner tonight. That's for another time. Plattner's got to go. That's all I'm going to say about that. He has to go, and he will. Okay. Anytime you hear a candidate go, "Oh, I'm reassessing," that means he's gone. He's gone, and he should go. And that's all I have to say about Plattner tonight. I'll be talking about him on another time. Graham Plattner, just a really problematic person to begin with. He's got to go. He has a week to decide before the deadline is gone. But he has to go, folks. Graham Plattner, listen, I know the allegations have not been proven in the court of law, so I always have to say that to you, especially as an attorney. But the bottom line is that this is despicable. And what this particular woman has to say uh, is something that needs to be paid attention to and certainly cannot be brushed away. Okay. So Graham Plattner, who has been problematic from the start, has to go. If it was good enough for Eric Swalwell to go, it's good enough for Plattner to go. Absolutely. There's no way around that. There's no way around it. He has to go. Period. Full stop. And I guarantee you, in the next 24 to 48 hours, there's going to be a statement out saying that Plattner has quit and suspended his campaign. Remember, there was another Democrat just yesterday, just Sunday, who suspended her campaign. Mallory McMurrow suspended her campaign for U.S. Senate. People probably didn't see that. It was flying under the radar yesterday. On a Sunday, she made a statement that she was suspending her campaign for U.S. Senate, I believe in Michigan. And there was a lot of criticism of Mallory McMurrow, and she just did not ever gain traction. So anyway, there's that too. But let me read out the rest of your comments here. Smarty Marty's joined us. Judney Quimby has joined us. Hakeem Shakur has joined us. Original Junior Senior has joined us. Hello. Daughter is calling. Later. Great info, Omar. Thank you, old diva. Take care of yourself. We'll see you again soon. Adam, what are the odds of your home team winning, Omar? That's a great question, Adam. Thank you for it. England, the odds are probably really coming down for England now, and I mean coming down in a good way. Because now they're in the quarterfinals, they've not played their best football. Chances are they're going to improve as they go along. They'll play Norway on Saturday, and if England are to beat Norway, if they do get past Norway, England will be in the semifinals. And the bookies, certainly in England, will absolutely encourage you to put money on England. They will still be a fair, I wouldn't say a long shot, if they get to the semifinals. If they beat Norway this Saturday, they're into the semifinals. And they'll still not be favored by most bookmakers in Las Vegas or in London or elsewhere. They will still be underdogs depending on what France do, depending on what Argentina do, excuse me, even depending on what Morocco do, you know? So there's still, at this point, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 teams that I think have a better chance odds wise of winning the World Cup than we do, than England does. I'd say France. I would say the likes of Argentina, certainly, those two, definitely. I think Morocco is still very dangerous. I would even give them a slight edge over us, even though they're ranked, I think, either the same or a bit lower than us. England's ranked number 4 in the world by FIFA, by the way. Argentina's ranked number 1. I think France is number 2 or 3. Spain is right in there, number 2 or 3, one of the two. But France is number 2, I think. Argentina's number 1, and England are number 4 in the world. So I think Argentina and France would be ranked ahead. I think I would put Morocco slightly ahead of the US, of England as well. And at this point, it's really hard to say. Spain definitely is probably going to go. I said so. Argentina, France, and Spain would all be favored over England to win the World Cup. So I think at this point, I don't know what the latest odds are, Adam, on England, but I think that if England were to win on Saturday in Miami against Norway, I think the odds get shorter and shorter for England. I think the odds makers really get it short. I think they can end up having a really good chance. Put it this way, Adam, and everyone else watching. If England get to the semifinals, they are going to be looked at. They're going to be looked at. I mean, I don't care who they're playing, even if they're playing France or whomever. I don't know what side of the draw England are on against France. They may be on opposing sides of the draw. I think they are actually. But the bottom line is that even if they do get to the semifinals here, if they're able to beat Norway, and if they do, they get to the quarterfinals. I think England are going to definitely be looked at very, very seriously, very seriously, and I think there's a good chance they could win this whole thing. I actually predicted, Adam, before the start of the tournament that England would get to the semi-finals. That was as far as I had them going. So I thought that the thing that would hurt my team, hurt England, is that they would not have enough in terms of their midfield when they're coming up against teams like a France or like an Argentina. And I think that as great as the English midfield is, you've got people like Declan Rice in the midfield. You've got people like Jude Bellingham that can play midfield, but he's usually an attacking midfielder, forward player. And other players like Elliot Anderson, terrific player he is. He's just gone for £100 million to Manchester City because he is bloody good, that guy. So as good as we have in the midfield, I think we can still be troubled there, and our defense can be a little bit shaky at times. But England still have a very good chance at this. So I predicted before this thing started that we would get to the semi-finals. Now we'll see. I predicted that Brazil would win the bloody thing. So what the hell did I know, Adam? Yeah, of course, Brazil got knocked out by Norway yesterday. So what the hell did I know? I thought that Brazil would win the whole thing. So I was wrong on that count. So maybe I'll be wrong about the semifinals. Maybe I'll be wrong, meaning that England get to the finals and hopefully win it. England, of course, have not won the World Cup since 1966, the only time that England have ever won the World Cup. So, 60 years later, who knows? Maybe it happens. The Knicks, my beloved New York Knicks, hadn't won for 53 years, and then they won it this year, the NBA championship. So maybe this year, in the following month, Knicks won just last month, of course, the NBA championship. Maybe the following month of July, right here, maybe my beloved England national team wins the World Cup after 60 years in the wilderness. So these things can happen this way. Forgive me for rabbiting on about this, but there's a lot of sports teams who have won this year in North America or in other parts of the world who hadn't won in a long time. Michigan won the Final Four men's basketball championship earlier this year. They hadn't won that in a long time. The national championship in men's college football was won by Indiana. I think that was their first national championship in the men's football in Division One NCAA play, if I can remember correctly. Obviously, the Super Bowl was won by the Seattle Seahawks, excuse me, and they hadn't won that in over 10 years. In the Stanley Cup, of course, the Carolina Hurricanes won. They hadn't won in 20 years. And the New York Knicks, of course, as I just mentioned, my beloved New York Knicks, winning the NBA championship for the first time in 53 years. So a lot of these teams, and of course, in the Premier League in England, in football, Arsenal winning the Premier League for the first time in 22 years. So this whole pattern in 2026 of all these teams winning major trophies and championships that hadn't won for a long time may well continue with the World Cup. You may see England win the whole thing. Sometimes a team comes out of nowhere. A team that sneaks up on you, doesn't really play very well, but all of a sudden executes well in key areas. The New York Knicks did that with the championship they won. They had not played particularly well in a lot of the games in the NBA Finals against San Antonio. But what they did is they found a way to execute down the stretch better than San Antonio did, and the Knicks had more experience, which is why the Knicks won in 5 games. 5 close games, but 5 games nonetheless. And so, experience tells the story. And obviously, sometimes teams can sneak up on you out of nowhere. Turns out the New York Knicks was one of those. They had a very decent regular season in the NBA, but it's not like they were going gangbusters. But they had 53 regular season wins. That's pretty good. Nothing to sneeze at. But it was when they got into the playoffs, they just caught fire. Down 2 games to 1 against Atlanta. Then they rolled off 13 consecutive wins and never looked back. They lost the one game, of course, because Trump was there, ETTD, and the rest is history. So they've got this championship. And I can tell you, I bought pretty much every piece of merchandise that says New York Knicks champions on it. So that's why I'll be giving some of that away. But anyway, thank you, Adam, for the question. Yeah, it's been 60 years, Adam, as I said, since England have won the World Cup. 1966, when they were the host nation at Wembley Stadium in London. That is the only time that England have ever won the World Cup. They beat West Germany 4-2 in the World Cup final at Wembley in 1966. And who knows how this will go this time around. All eyes on the next few weeks, and especially on Sunday, July the 19th of this year, where the World Cup final will be played in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. Whoever will be there. And I do hope that England is one of the two teams, but we will see about that. So, anyway, I just wanted to read out some of your other comments. Hakeem Shakur has said, he writes, if only we could get the world as focused on the condition of our fellow human beings the world over. Yeah, listen, Hakeem, it's a fair point. I know I'm talking about sports tonight, and obviously people want a respite, I think, from some of the things that are going on around the world. But I do agree, we do get more engaged in things like sports, partially because I think sports again is can not always but mostly can be a great unifier of people. Sports is an avenue to escape your troubles, as are music concerts at times and other forms of entertainment and art. And so people do use these things like sports as an outlet away from any personal problems they have or any problems of the day. It's not an excuse that I'm saying this. I'm just saying this as a reality of the human condition. We all do this. Not every single one of us, but many of us find refuge in that. I mean, I don't personally find refuge in that personally, but I do know that there are people who do. People sometimes the only thing that going on in people's lives is something to do with sports because things in their lives are very difficult. So they look at sports as that one thing they can hold on to keep them and keep their spirits alive and afloat and upbeat. And listen, that is a very real thing around the world with a number of people. I know people like this. So look, I mean, those are very real things. But Hakeem, your point is well taken, though, about all of that. I think there are lots of people who are concerned with the human condition globally, but we don't get to hear about many of them, especially in this country. And there's certainly people in this country who do care about that. But there's lots of people who don't and are very selfish, just like and that's true in any country in the world. But there are people who do care. But I understand what you're saying, Hakeem. Again, it's a point well made. And Carol, hello again. And listen, sports can definitely be great dividers, writes Adam. You can end up with a goner if you walk into a bar wearing a Ravens shirt or back in the day a Cowboys jersey during the Steelers game. Anywhere around me, ha ha ha. Adam says, a passionate Steelers fan, I guess. Yeah, 1962. 1966 was the last time that England won the World Cup. 1962, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers went. They in the Super Bowl back then. I know that Dallas were at the Ice Bowl with I think it was Dallas and the Green Bay Packers were fighting out for the Ice Bowl before way back when. But anyway, that's a few years back. Um, but look, the bottom line is this is what's going on here, folks. Um, People look at sports as a unifier. It can be a divider. And there are people who are opportunistic, who are fascistic, who use sports to divide. Again, I talked about the Hitler example in the 1936 Olympic Games, Summer Olympic Games in Berlin, where in West Germany, where, of course, Hitler was presiding at that time. And Jesse Owens, the black man from the US of A, showed him what it's like to win 4 gold medals, particularly in track and field. So, yeah, you can have sports be a uniter and a divider. It can be. There are people who use sports to divide, but then sports generally can be a uniter, generally. And I know what Adam said about wearing a jersey in the wrong part of town. But we really should move away from being that kind of country. But we're not, right? If you go to Philadelphia and you wear a New York Giants shirt, and you're sitting in the Philadelphia, well, you wouldn't be sitting in the Philadelphia Eagles end, but Eagles fans are pretty rough in Philadelphia. Philly fans, they don't care too much, the baseball. And in the 76ers fans, too many of them are staying at home while the Knicks take over their building. Although this next season coming up, the Philly Sixers look pretty good with the trades they've done so far. But sports generally are uniters, but they can be dividers as well. Or at least people can use sports to divide. I'll put it that way. But anyway, yeah, Donald Trump did throw the USA men's team into quicksand. Adam, I agree. Nancy Reagan told us to just say no, writes Adam, while they traffic cocaine all over LA that led to the spread of the crack epidemic. Exactly. And they were. Ron and Nancy were garbage, writes Adam. I agree with you. Glad, writes Smarty Marty, that the US got eliminated. Smarty Marty saying this, I'm reading it. And Smarty Marty writes, glad the US got eliminated. Otherwise, we wouldn't have heard the end of it from the Orange Man. Maybe the next World Cup we can do better. Smarty Marty, absolutely. I think the USA can do better. I think this will be, one thing I didn't say, Smarty Marty, is that this would be and will be a tremendous this will be a tremendous learning experience for the US of A. They got to the round of 16. They were able to win a knockout stage game because they had the extra week of knockout uh, fixtures in the tournament. They'll learn from this. They'll grow and they'll come back in 4 years' time. I think the head coach is probably going to be there, Mauricio Pochettino, and some of those lads will be there. Many of them will. Tim Ream, who's the elder statesman of that team, probably will not. We don't know. I don't know for a fact yet. They've just lost an hour ago, so who knows? Hour and a half ago, so who knows? But we'll see. We'll see, Adam. And we'll see, Smarty Marty, especially you. You're the one that wrote this, Smarty Marty. My apologies. We'll see what the USA can do, the men's team, next time. And of course, in a year or two, you'll have the women's team out there trying to win another World Cup. So I hope that all the people who do watch the men's team play go and watch the women's team play as well when they're in the World Cup in a year or two from now, and watch and support women playing sports. Right? Again, there's no male sport and there's no female sport. It's sports. It really is. That's why I scorn the Supreme Court every day on some of these things. But anyway, that is that. Epstein writes Puma. Everything always goes back to him and his shenanigans, awful deeds. There are connective tissues, I'll say that. Again, as I always like to say, please vote. I know the Epstein files are important to lots of people, and I'm not trying to minimize that, but I do think the most important thing we can do is vote, check our voter registration, develop a plan to vote now in July, so that you can do that ahead of time, and spread that word to friends and family, and speak to them, and have a meeting about votes and what your plan's going to be. Are you going to drive people to the polls? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? These are really important discussions that need to be happening now. But yes, the Epstein files certainly are going to be in a lot of people's minds, but voting is even more important. I'm not saying that the Epstein files don't have importance, they do. But remember, voting, if you're registered to vote, make sure you do vote and get others involved and register them to vote as well. The New York Times, by the way, did a story in the last magazine they did. I think this Sunday, yesterday's magazine, Sunday Magazine, I think they had a whole story on Epstein and his last hours inside that Metropolitan Correctional Facility in Brooklyn. I won't go into that tonight, but that is something to keep an eye on. I do have that magazine around here. Maybe I'll talk about it another time. But again, voting is so important, folks, and I don't want you to forget that you've got to vote. You've got to stay engaged. You've got to engage locally, and you've got to look at what's going on in your community. Look at the people running it. Who is your district attorney? Who is your town clerk? Who is your school board members or member? These things are really, really important on a local level, and it's absolutely critical that you know what's going on in your neighborhood. Who is the sanitation director? Who is this? You've got to know all this stuff locally. So there we go. Terry Ann writes, win or lose, I wish the USA had played a better game. Maybe they would have played more as a team if their star was not participating. And exactly, Terry, that's the example I raised a bit earlier. And you may have written this either before or after I raised that point earlier, Terry Ann. I think that they would have played better if Balogun wasn't in the game. That's not a slight on Balogun. It's just that all the distraction around that stuff that happened with Trump really, I think, really hurt them. And I think their focus was off. They looked very unfocused tonight. And I think Terry Ann, you're right. I don't know. Did you? I guess you watched the entire game, Terry Ann. And I saw it. If you did watch the entire game, I'm sure you saw it too. They looked very unfocused. They didn't look sure of themselves. They didn't look confident. They looked very scattered. They looked distracted out there. And they definitely looked, I think, a step slower in many instances than Belgium did. Belgium looked very confident and comfortable on the ball. In fact, Belgium played in that very same stadium just 5 days ago. So, I mean, that certainly was a help for them as well. But look, that's not the reason why Belgium won. Belgium were just a better team. They played better football. They were in control of things. And the USA weren't. So, Terry Ann, I agree. I think they would have probably been more focused and would have played better if Balogun was not reinstated. I think it's very true. Very, very true. Hakeem writes, the US didn't deserve to win, and as long as it spreads hatred, murder, and mayhem and chaos around the globe, it shouldn't ever win. Hakeem with the comment there. And listen, I hear you, Hakeem, 110%. There's a larger point to be made, obviously, from that comment that you make, obviously, is that when you're looking at the USA, listen, the men's first team, obviously, the men's national team obviously are not the fault of the world's ills. I know that you're not saying that, Hakeem, but I know what your point is on a larger scale and a larger point of what the U.S. has done all over the world as a superpower. And the colonialist mindset and attitude of the US around the world and what it's done around the world is the point that Hakeem is making, and it again is well taken. Did they look that way before tonight, Omar? No, they did not. Adam is right in that question in the chat. They did not look that way. That they meaning the U.S. men's team. They didn't look. They looked a lot more confident in all the other games I watched. I've watched all the games. I've watched a lot of these games, and the USA looked much, much better. The men's team looked a whole lot better in all the games they played previous to the one tonight that they lost. They looked even in the game they lost to Turkey about 10 days ago. They looked very good in that game. Lost that game 3-2 to Turkey. They had already qualified at that point. The games they won against Australia, the game they won against Paraguay, the game they won against Bosnia Herzegovina just under a week ago, like 5 days ago, the USA looked very confident. But tonight, a completely different USA. Completely different. Same team. This team was unchanged in the lineup, Adam, than the previous game, from the previous game. Unchanged from the game where they beat Bosnia Herzegovina 2-0, where the red card was shown. It was the same 11 players, and yet a completely different body language and attitude from the USA players. Incredible, isn't it? Michael Cattler has joined us. Hello. G.G. Hagelin has joined us. Hello to you. Coming on to educate us as this independent septuagenarian loves the game. Thank you, G.G. Hagelin. I'm glad that you appreciate that. It's great to have you here. And to all of you watching, if you're not a subscriber, please become one right now. Whether you can do it for free if you wish. Paid subscriptions are the best because I give away free things to paid subscribers all the time. A lot of books, a lot of vinyl records, CDs, movies, a number of other things, apparel and clothing, merchandise, all coming soon to be given away as I resume the giveaways in a few weeks' time for paid subscribers. So it pays to be a paid subscriber. Thank you very much indeed. This is going to drive down the ratings for Ted Lasso, writes Adam, here in the US, LOL. Nighty night, Omar, writes Puma. Puma, nighty night to you, she writes. Thanks so much for the knowledge and breaking things down for us. We love the Civics 101 class. Perhaps review it several times. Bring back Schoolhouse Rock before it's no longer relevant. I agree, and I will be going into civics mode again in the near future after this World Cup is over. When once I stop talking about England, and if they don't get to the final, and once the final is over, because I'll be doing something here after the final to talk about that. After that, I'll resume. That will be after July the 19th. After that time, I'll resume going back to the things I usually do on these Substack Lives. So thank you, Puma. Have a good night to you. It's always lovely to see you here. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, all. Thanks for your takes, writes Tanya at 92% on the game. Not a big sports fan, but I have athletes in my family, writes Tanya. And I understand this the psychological aspect of the game can be as an determinative as the physical practice. Very sad that the narcissist keeps inserting himself in our sports. Tanya, 100% agree with you there. It's a very sad state of affairs. This guy cannot leave well enough alone. And if Barack Obama was still the president, or if Joe Biden was, or even if George W. Bush was, for God's sakes, none of them would have written to FIFA or called FIFA or picked up the phone to FIFA and asked for them to freeze a red card on one of the USA players. It just would not have happened. So there we go. It's a great point to say this, and it's true. And Jason Gale writes, just to say that karma delivered. Jason is talking about the USA being defeated soundly tonight by Belgium in the Men's World Cup. I'll call it that for sometimes. You'll hear me say the Men's World Cup, since they say the Women's World Cup, right? But they don't say the Men's World Cup. They just call it World Cup. So the Men's World Cup tonight, Jason hits the nail on the head. Karma did deliver. Listen, I'm not gleeful about it. Some are. Had some mixed feelings tonight. I was saying that I would like to see the U.S. go through because these players that did nothing to bring this on about what happened with Donald Trump. That's not their fault, But on the other hand, I was saying, you know what? Um, I want to, and I was saying to myself, I want to see Belgium win just to spite Donald Trump, just to show this guy, just to spite him and send a message. And the Belgian team responded, and the Belgium head coach yesterday made it very clear he was pissed, and he wasn't the only one. The Royal Belgium Board, they're not even a footballing board. They wrote a stern letter publicly and said how they felt about all this. And they weren't the only ones either. They weren't the only country that was pissed off at Donald Trump and FIFA. So, that's something that is very true, Jason. Karma definitely delivered tonight. I mean, again, I'm not being gleeful, but I'm saying that Belgium deserved to win. They outplayed the U.S., and you've got to give Belgium the credit. But again, I think a portion of this too goes down to ETTD. Everything touched Trump's. I can't even say it now. Everything Trump touches dies. ETTD. Part of that. That is part of the reason why I think the U.S. men lost tonight. So there we go. Thank you, Jason Gale, for that. Um, I've been to Belgium myself, Jason. But Jason writes, I also love Belgium as a country to visit, and friends of mine play in a band there. That's so good. Excellent to know that, Jason. Thank you. Yeah, Belgium's a nice. Listen, I'm not a fan of the history of Belgium and its colonization history and King Leopold. Good God. If you don't know about King Leopold, please go study him. Oh boy, do some research. So I'm not a fan of that aspect of Belgium, but the country itself, in terms of going there to visit, it's a lovely place to be. So I do agree with you there, Jason. Thank you. Carol Phipps says, thank you to Omar. You're welcome, Carol. Thank you for being here. The Belgian DOJ crew drink at Kitty O'Shea's, says Jason. Thank you very much indeed. Look, thank you, everybody. I think I'm going to can't even talk now, and it's still only barely 9 o'clock here on the West Coast, and I can't even get a word out. So that means it's probably time for me to go and say good night to you as well, because it's almost midnight on the East Coast. Thank you very much indeed for all of you who have been commenting and listening and chatting amongst yourselves as well. Thank you very much indeed. Jeannie, not late to the party, and Adam reminds you of that too. Jeannie, as long as you're here, it's fine. You see, I've talked about how I'm very strict on time, and I hate being late for anything. But if you're late to this chat, I'm not going to get upset with you. I just get upset with people who waste my time. That's my deal, and I really have very little grace these days for people who waste time and who especially waste my time, because I hate to waste anyone's time. And if I'm wasting your time, I would like you to be honest enough to tell me that, right? Because I know these lives I do can be very long, but I'd rather try to be on time for them and do that. And I understand if you're 1 or 2 minutes late, but I'm very strict with time, and I think because time is precious. That's why it means so much to me that you're spending your time watching me now at this late hour. And I really aim not to disappoint you in any way, shape, or form. So thank you very much, everyone. It's great to see you all. Marie, thank you for joining. Everyone here who has joined, it's great. Jeannie, thank you very much indeed. Um, Again, lots going on in the news and all the rest of it. And I just want to say thank you very much indeed for joining here after the Belgium national men's team knocked out the U.S. national men's team in the World Cup tonight by a score of 4 goals to 1 up in Seattle, Washington. It was a dominant performance by the Belgians, otherwise known as the Red Army. That's what they're called, their nickname, and they definitely were making the USA see a sea of red mist tonight, because it was a completely dominating performance as far as that goes. Carol Phipps says, still so proud of them and rooting for them for Saturday. I assume you're talking about England, Carol, because I know that you are from England, and as am I. And so England just have been fantastic in these so far, at least. Well, put it this way: they were terrific last night. I'll leave it like that. I don't want to jinx England at all. Smarty Marty writes, not Argentina. Don't need Orange Man's crazy friends, Nazis, to win the World Cup. Yeah, Argentina. Yeah, go look up their history, folks. If you don't know Argentina's history, oh, baby, please look them up. Not a pretty history, mate. Not a pretty history at all. And yeah, Argentina. Oh boy, Messi. They may have Lionel Messi, who is the darling of a lot of people, and he is a very good player. I don't think he's the greatest player of all time, though. I'd say Pele is. Was he's no longer with us, but Argentina, nah, not a country that I would be supporting at the World Cup. But that's just me, folks. I used to have an Argentina jersey. I don't know how the hell I got it, but I got rid of it pretty quickly a few years ago. But anyway, thank you, Smarty Marty, for that. Thank you for answering that. Omar writes, Adam, I'll be rooting for England. Adam says, thank you, Adam. We would really appreciate that as well. Even if you're not from England, or even if you're not an England fan, that would be great. We can get more support. Of course, it'd be terrific. So, Adam, thank you for that. Yeah, 60 years since England won the World Cup. I am torn, writes Jason. I love Norway and I love England. Well, we will see what happens on Saturday, Jason. You got to pick one, right? So you got to pick who you got to pick. Either it's Norway or it's England. For me, it's very clear, obviously, who it's going to be for me. But for you, maybe you do have the divided loyalties. But one way or another, one of those two teams is going to advance to the semifinals of the World Cup. I don't think Norway has ever gone to the semifinals of the World Cup in their history. They may do that this time, or they may not. Maybe England will do it. England have been to semifinals before in the World Cup. Back in 2018 was the last time they did that. They lost to Croatia in that semifinal after taking the 1-0 lead, and then Croatia lost in the 2018 final to France. So that's the last time that England got to the semifinals. So there we go. Omar writes, Adam, I want to see you out in the street celebrating and popping the Dom Perignon again, like you did when the Knicks won. LOL. Yeah, that was a great time in New York, and man, oh man, it was a terrific time. And I loved being out in the streets right outside Madison Square Garden, and also on the streets of Brooklyn, New York, on the night that the Knicks won won it all. When I was at Madison Square Garden on the streets there, that was the night I had just come out of the building, having watched that amazing 29-point comeback. I was there for it, and the essay I'm doing, I'm going to be sharing some pictures and video with you around that. So stay tuned with that. But Adam, it was a fantastic time in New York. I'm still savoring all of that. I'm still celebrating the Knicks winning for the first time in 53 years. That celebration is going to continue forever, as far as I'm concerned. Wear my Knicks paraphernalia all the time, with the hats all the time. I do that even when the Knicks were horrible. I do that here in San Francisco. So, Adam, thank you very much indeed. You never know. If the Knicks win it again next season, for God's sakes, I'll be doing that again. So that would be terrific. Adam, thank you. Sports are the opiate of the masses, writes Terry. Listen, that's a good point, Terry. Can't disagree there. There's a lot of things that are the opiates of the masses, and sports would be one of them. Again, sports is something that does bring people together. It can divide, but that's because some people use it in a divisive way, or provoke division. But sporting events and concerts as well are unifiers, and so there we go. But I do agree with you on what you said there, Terry Ann. Thank you very much indeed. Um, I don't remember the Steelers being in the Super Bowl in the 60s. Well, maybe they weren't, Adam. I was throwing that out there. I just can't remember. But the Steelers, yeah, the Steelers got most of their championships, as you point out, in the 1970s. They were the the um, the terrible towel group, right? That was the group that was Chuck Noll Steelers. That's when they were really, really good. Terry Bradshaw winning a load of those as the QB of that team. I think they had, didn't they have Mean Joe Green on that team, or was he with the Packers? I forget which. But anyway, I'm mixing up my players on sports teams. But anyway, um, no, it's okay. Listen, Adam, you can type LOL on a thing. Listen, I try not to do that myself personally. But listen, however you choose to express your emotion about a comment that you're writing or responding to, if you're gonna put LOL next to it, do it. Do what you're comfortable with in terms of a comment like that, or an emoticon. I know this is just the way things are in the 21st century, so I think I would not take umbrage to you doing that, Adam. Thank you very much indeed. I had to look at what ETTD meant, confesses Adam. I thought it was an odd reference to a time that I was unaware of. ETTD is everything touch. I think I need to really get my mouth and mind synchronized. ETTD is everything Trump touches dies. And listen, again, Rick Wilson wrote a whole book about this. So with that title, yeah, absolutely. A new acronym Adam says he will be using. Thank you all. Thank you everything you do, Omar. Thank you, Adam. He writes, continues on, acquire a lot of knowledge every time you do these lives, and I'm able to watch them. Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much indeed for that. Very kind, very appreciative of your comments. I appreciate that you appreciate what I'm doing. Again, it's always great to know that people do actually find what I say and do here to be of help and to be edifying and educational. And I'm thankful that I have people who are interested in learning and listening, as you are, Adam, as many others are, like Vicky and Terry Ann and so many others. So thank you very much. Vicky, always a pleasure to see you as well. Yeah, Joseph Mengele hung out in Argentina. He certainly did. Right, Adam. You saw a history we can only dream of. Thank you. Thank you indeed. Regarding the New York Knicks, that is Adam's writing on. Yeah. I have been bragging about the New York Knicks. Listen, I wear the New York Knicks gear around here all the time. When the Knicks were horrible, I wore it. When the Knicks were so-so, I wore it. And when the Knicks are on top of the world as they are now, as NBA champions, I wear it. So I've not been one of these people who just puts on Knicks gear because they've won. I've been doing this for years. I've been rooting for this team for more than 50 years. I mean, so hey, I'm old enough to remember the last time they won. I wasn't that old, but I'm old enough to remember the last time they won. So before last month. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I used to have season tickets for these guys when I was living in New York. For 10 years, I had season tickets back in the 1990s, particularly went to NBA finals. Because listen, this is not some bandwagon jumper. Although if you are a bandwagon jumper, so what? I'm not going to be upset at you. There's some Knicks fans and some fans of some sports that just get very irritated when people do that. I don't. I don't. If people like, everybody likes a winner. And we see that. I mean, Donald Trump went over to New York. He claims to be this Knicks fan. And I know he went to some games back in the 90s, but he's no real Knicks fan. He just the bandwagon jumper. Everybody likes a winner. Mamdani, he invites Mamdani to his to the Oval Office there. To his, not to his, to the Oval Office. Right? He doesn't care. I mean, he likes a winner, like all the malignant narcissists do. But everybody likes winners. But thank you, Adam. I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing off this blooming article too, and I can't wait to share that with you and everyone else, Adam, because well, I don't want to toot my horn just yet, but I will toot my horn soon about this story that's going to come out very soon. So thank you. Lynn Swan, yes. Mean Joe Green. Yeah, I knew Mean Joe Green. I thought he was on that team. Lynn Swan, exactly. Swanee. I totally forgot Lynn Swan. How dare I? I think Lynn Swan's alive, or did he pass away? I'm not sure about that. I know Lynn Swan was terrific back in the day. Your love for movies. You love movies, Omar. Thank you, Adam. I do. That's very true. A member of the Film Critics Circle here in this area, San Francisco. Bill Nunn has a great story about how he and Rooney Jr. messed with Mean Joe Green. Bill Nunn, is it that Bill Nunn, as in now he's no longer here, that Bill Nunn. Radio Raheem Bill Nunn, who also was, of course, was in Do the Right Thing as Radio Raheem. He's no longer with us, Bill Nunn, but you were saying, Adam, that he had a great story about how he and Rooney Jr. messed with Mean Joe Green. That would be a terrific one to look up, and you are telling me to do that. I will. I will. I will. I will. Thank you very much indeed, Adam. I have reached the end of the comment section here regarding Henry. Things to do in Denver when you're dead. Yeah, yeah. These are the great films that Bill Nunn were in. What was in? He was a friend to Harrison Ford in Regarding Henry. Things to do in Denver when you're dead. Yes, he played a role in that. Bill Nunn was also in School Days. He was also in, as I said, Do the Right Thing. Two Spike Lee films. He was in a number of Spike Lee films, including Mo Better Blues as well. He'd gone too soon. A young man. Bill Nunn was. And he's from Pittsburgh. That's great, from the Hill District. That's great to know. Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you, everyone else who's been watching tonight. Yeah, went a bit long tonight, but doesn't it always here? This is the post-match edition of the United States versus Belgium. The final score was the United States 1, Belgium 4. In the Men's World Cup, the USA men's team are out of the tournament, and Belgium advance to the quarterfinals where they will take on Belgium. No, Belgium will not take on Belgium. Belgium will take on Spain. That's going to be another colonizer's ball coming up. And it's so interesting. This is the thing. As you go through the World Cup, look at the history too, right? These teams, England, colonizer, right? The UK, colonizer, England, right? Then you've got the colonizer, Argentina. Argentina definitely wasn't a shrinking violet. And today you had Portugal against Spain, two colonizers right there. And now you're going to have Spain and Belgium in the final eight. So they play each other. Colonizers ball again. So there's the interesting thing. You get to see all these colonizing nations playing each other, right? And there are others, but the France colonizer, right? I mean, it's true. I mean, I'm not making this up, folks. Consult history, right? So anyway, there's others, but those are the ones that Belgium is obviously, Spain, France, England. It's like, Argentina doesn't have clean hands either. I mean, you get the idea, right? So there you go. Thanks so much, Omar Wright, Stacey from California. Thank you, Stacey from California. Always a pleasure. Please become a paid subscriber if you aren't already one, okay? Because you're going to get some great prizes entered into a drawing for that. And I think you really appreciate those prizes. So anyway, I will get going. Vicky writes, Omar, still talking? How dare you? She didn't write that part. I said that part. But she did write, Omar, still talking. Yes, Vicky, I can do this quite a bit. I think you've guessed that by now. Vicky, it's always great to see you. Thank you very much, Vicky, and to everyone else. Amy, thanks for an awesome evening, Omar. Amy, thank you for that. Enjoyed the variety of content. I try my best. Amy, thank you, thank you, thank you. No, not how dare you, Vicky writes. I'm just messing with you, Vicky. You know that. I'm playing about here with you here. Come on. Vicky, thank you. Oh, Vicky, you're funny. Thank you, Vicky. You make me laugh. Um, oh my gosh, um, you are amazing. Thank you, Vicky. I really appreciate that. You're amazing as well, and I really appreciate you. I truly do. You're always great, lovely, and great comments as ever. Always very engaging. So I really appreciate that. And laughter is good, Vicky. You absolutely are right. Joy and laughter mean everything. It's a very good thing for us internally to laugh, to have joy, to laugh. Chemicals, endorphins, all these things. These are really good things for your body. Replenishes your mind, your whole your system. It's a really, really great thing. So thank you very much for all of that. Laughter is good. And sometimes, listen, in this world, there's lots of things that are very serious, obviously, but we have to have a semblance of laughter and joy in our lives, or just something that gives us pleasure and joy that we must engage in. It's really, really important. Find that in your life or in things in life that you can do, right? Beauty, art, creations, nature, activity, physical activities, reading something, listening to music, doing some dance, doing a little light exercise, taking a walk, getting out into the open air, going to a museum, going to a comedy show, if you like that, or an opera, or a jazz concert, or some kind of musical event, or art event, or drawing something, or creating, or whatever it is in the world. I mean, my gosh, having a great conversation with someone. I mean, there's a million things you can do to derive pleasure and joy from things, laughter, whatever it is. Intimacy, whatever. I mean, literally, as long as anything that keeps you engaged and vital and alive, and reading is important, as Vicky points out. Music, art, drawing, I mentioned those. Using your mind, all these things are very good, important things as human beings that we have to do. We have to do these things. especially in these days. We keep our minds engaged, keep our bodies engaged, and laugh. It's such an important thing for human beings to do. Staying engaged is vital, right, Vicky? Vicky, I totally agree, Vicky. Laughter is good for the soul, and staying engaged is very important. Knowing who you are in this world, knowing what you like and what you don't, knowing who you want to be around and who you're comfortable around, and who you're totally not comfortable around, and who you don't want to spend time with. You have the power to do that. You have the power. You have more power than you think. Okay. And it's not about you, and it doesn't mean you're being nasty to people. It means that you just know who you are, or at least know what you're about. And you have the right to determine who you want in your circle and who you don't. You have that right. You have a right to have a life that's comfortable, that's peaceful, that's relatively stress free, or at least as relatively stressful as you can get it to. That's kind of moderate stress. But again, you have to do that. You have to chart those things, and laughter and joy are really important. Pleasure and being engaged in the world. These are priceless things. And whatever floats your boat that's safe and responsible for you, you have the right to do it, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. So anyway, thank you very much indeed. Wow, very nice comment from Adam. He writes, "I wish there were more of you, Omar. People like you in short supply. I only say this to those I respect greatly, like Pacino's character of Bergman." Says to what does it say? Says to Crow, Jeff Wigand on The Insider by Michael Mann. We are in short supply of heroes. Very grateful for your messages of inspiration. Thank you, very message of inspiration. Thank you very much indeed, Adam, for your very kind, very forthright comments on that. And look, I appreciate what you're saying. And I don't take what you're saying lightly. I take it very sincerely as a sincere observation and compliment. And I tell you, I love compliments, so I take them, and I take them with sincerity. And thank you, Adam, for them. Very, very heartfelt and forthright. And I do believe in the sincerity of your remarks. Thank you very much. And I do remember that line in The Insider, where Lowell Bergman, who is played by Al Pacino, who is the producer, Lowell Bergman of CBS News, 60 Minutes, at one point. In that film by Michael Mann, who directed it, says to Russell Crowe, who plays Jeffrey Wigand, the Brown and Williamson tobacco executive, he says that to him. Things that, people like you are in short supply. He's talking about the whistleblowing Jeffrey Wigand, who risked everything, lost his job, lost lost his wife at one point as well, to stand up for the truth, to defend, to help Americans and warn them of the dangers of nicotine and how addictive it was. Although people knew this, but there were things in this tobacco that was being sent out there that was being lied about to the public, were being lied to. And Russell Crowe's character, Jeffrey Wigand, in real life was telling the truth about all this stuff. So, yeah, go and watch The Insider again. That's a great one for everybody to watch. It's not an action-packed film or a comedy, but it is a very instructive film and is a precursor to the way that CBS News is behaving right now, by the way, and a precursor to all these billionaires taking over the news. But it does raise those issues about CBS News versus CBS corporate. So thank you for bringing that up, Adam, and thank you for your messages. Something we all need during times like these is laughter. And Adam said that we need messages of inspiration. And I thank you for that, Adam. I don't take your comments lightly, and I appreciate them as I do everyone else's remarks, positive ones, particularly, of course. But I do appreciate all of them all the same. Thank you for hitting the hearts, everybody. It is past midnight now on the East Coast. I do want to thank you very much indeed for joining me tonight. Thank you, everyone, from Adam to Vicky, to all of those in between, including Terry Ann and Old Diva and Puma and so many others. Thank you very much for your time tonight. I'll be doing this again sometime. It will actually be Saturday, unless there's something really earth-shattering that takes place between now and then. This Saturday, right after the game between Norway and England, I will be back here to talk about what happened in the game. So if you're somebody who likes all that kind of thing and you want to hear a recap after Saturday's game between England and Norway, come here, won't you? right after that game is over. And win or lose, if England win or lose that game, I'm going to be here to talk about it. So there we go. That's the quarterfinal this coming Saturday. And please become a paid subscriber if you can. Really, it is well worth your while and your time and your money. Look out for the New York Knicks story that I'm working on. We'll finish that and have it out sometime tomorrow. And of course, I'll post the Politicrat podcast episode for this Monday. A little bit late, of course, because, hey, that is what it is. But late because of a very good reason, but not late because I want it to be late. Speaking of lateness. But anyway, thank you very much indeed. The New York Knicks, indeed, Vicky. I'm nearly finished that story now that I'm doing on the Knicks and New York and the time I had there, and accompanying it with some really good visuals. So please stay tuned for that, Vicky, and I hope that you read that when you have a chance. Vicky, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much indeed. Again, take care, everyone, and please register to vote. Check your voter registration at least twice a month. Be safe, and remember, you have the power. Good night.